Hello again, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for this Friday's edition of Alaska Weather on this 4th day of June 2021. I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service, and I'll be hosting today's show once again. Up first, let's see, we've got, breakup is over now, so no longer showing the breakup map. That's come and gone here for another year. And moving on to the, let's see. Up first, no, not the breakup map. I did not want the breakup map. Let's see here. Wow. Let me back it up here. Okay, well, we'll go with satellite imagery. The PowerPoint has a mind of its own today. We've got clouds up over the interior here today with circulation there south of the eastern Aleutians. That was south of Atka, now pulling in toward the eastern Aleutians in the afternoon hours. And over the interior, some areas of cloudiness, bringing some moderate showers into the Kuskokwim Valley. McGrath this afternoon reporting heavy rain showers with about 1/4 of an inch falling there in the about 1 or 2 hour period. And lighter showers off to the southwest coast, Kuskokwim Delta, maybe Togiak, Cape Newenham, and into the southern Bering Sea. Any shower activity that affected the eastern Aleutians was scattered with some clearing periods. Now it's mostly due to the low pressure area to your south. Isolated showers over the Alaska Peninsula, again with a few sun breaks at Sandpoint, possibly Chignik. Mostly sunny day for Kodiak Island. And south central Alaska, also mostly sunny skies. Some moderate rain falling over the eastern interior there. Two other areas of moderate precipitation, one over the southern panhandle, one over the eastern interior today with that low pressure area and upper level trough. That brought 1/2 inch of precipitation to Eagle in the last 12 hours, a 12-hour period ending at 3 p.m. this afternoon. And Northway picked up about 4/10 of an inch of precipitation, so good soaking rains falling there toward the eastern border area. Those are the two heavier amounts and help keep fire danger at bay there. And otherwise, temperatures rose into the lower 70s, upper 60s, lower 70s up over the Yukon Flats. Let's see, Nenana had a temperature this afternoon of 70 degrees, as did Fort Yukon. Those are the two warm spots in the state today. That chilly low at the surface and aloft, cold upper low there over the near the Bering Strait and Chukchi Sea. That kept temperatures near freezing at Tin City and in the mid-30s at Nome, where they had some light snow off and on during the day today. About 4/100 of an inch water equivalent, but temperatures above freezing, nothing accumulating on the ground. Otherwise, another trough there cutting across the Bering Sea, as you can see with some moisture there, will be pushing eastward and keep it kind of cloudy, cool, and unsettled for the southwest coast, at least into tomorrow and probably through the weekend as it links up with the upper level low that's pretty stationary over the northern Bering Sea. Otherwise, high pressure controlling the Aleutians through the weekend, looking not too bad. Even today, partly sunny skies, some breaks there, as you can see, Kiska and Amchitka, and mostly cloudy, maybe an isolated shower for Adak and Atka. And then Panhandle, Ketchikan, Metlakatla picking up 1/2 inch of precipitation in the this afternoon, or at 12-hour period ending at mid-afternoon, contrasting out with just 4/100 of an inch at Juneau. So definitely the heavier amounts over the southern Panhandle. That'll continue through tonight and into tomorrow until that low finally pulls off to the east tomorrow afternoon and evening. Otherwise, looking at the forecast for tonight, weak low pressure there at Prince William Sound. That gradient with a higher pressure to the west brought winds up about 25 miles an hour at Seward this afternoon. That'll diminish slowly this evening. Also kind of gusty there through the Barren Islands, looking at small craft advisories, Kamishak Bay, west-northwesterlies, at about 25 to 30 knots there for tonight into tomorrow. And otherwise, mostly cloudy or variably cloudy with scattered diminishing showers over the Copper River Basin and showers lingering there over the Kuskokwim Valley and along the lower Yukon River Valley areas. And a weak trough brings a chance of showers to the Pribilofs there. That's that trough moving eastward, not really organized yet, but it should become pick up a little more moisture for tomorrow. Otherwise, the Panhandle still looking at periods of rain over the southern part, more showery conditions and lighter precipitation up to the north, and possibly some scattered rain and snow showers for the North Slope and Arctic coast. And for tomorrow, again, still a chance of showers at Brooks Range. Arctic coast looking pretty good, basically dry up in that area to the interior. And then increasing shower chances, especially over the mountainous terrain of the western Alaska Range, the Sitna Valley area, Copper River Basin, Talkeetna's up into the eastern Alaska Range and the eastern interior. Again, probably won't see the rainfall amounts you saw today over toward from Northway and Tok up toward Eagle, but still at risk of afternoon thunderstorm. And thunderstorm chances also exist for the Kenai Peninsula, as well as the western Alaska Range. Talkeetna's possibly, anywhere in the Copper River Basin, any one of the showers could develop into an isolated thunderstorm. And Panhandle, periods of rain, heaviest in the south, lighter up to the north though. And Kodiak Island, mostly sunny, mild, partly to mostly sunny for the Alaska Peninsula. Best conditions Pacific side. And then looking at the forecast for Sunday, that low continues over the northern Bering, now just south of the Bering Strait at the surface. And that's going to keep a band of elevated precipitation chances, periods of light rain, fog, or drizzle. Seward Peninsula, maybe Kotzebue area, Shishmaref, Buckland, on down into the Yukon Kuskokwim Delta areas with possible showers as far east as the Kuskokwim Mountains. Southern Bering Sea and the Aleutians looking pretty good. A little breezy over the Bering Sea and Pribilofs with those west winds turning northwest across the Alaska Peninsula, maybe gusts 30 miles per hour or so. But light winds, partly mostly sunny for the Aleutians under high pressure. And trough, Copper River Basin, again, showers from the Chugach Mountains, Turnagain Arm, Alyeska into the Copper River Basin and the Central Alaska Range, maybe Delta Junction, any one of which could develop into an isolated thunderstorm. Panhandle, cool, unsettled, showery, mostly cloudy, and highs in the 50s. And the Eastern Brooks Range, a chance of showers, maybe some fog on the Arctic coast. Mostly sunny Kodiak Island with that northwest flow continuing with the weak ridging over Bristol Bay. And best conditions, again, mostly sunny south side of the Alaska Peninsula. And even the Pribilofs could see some partly to mostly sunny conditions, optimistically. Otherwise, for temperatures, lows tonight in the 40s for the Panhandle and in the 40s lower to mid here, southern Alaska, Kodiak Island, lower 40s Copper River Basin. Up in the interior, 40s and near 50 in the central interior, warmest, say, Fairbanks to Delta Junction. Upper 30s to lower 40s for the Brooks Range, and then upper 20s western Arctic coast to lower 30s elsewhere. Upper 20s Seward Peninsula to lower 30s. Down to St. Lawrence Island, in the mid-30s for the Yukon Kuskokwim Delta area, but upper 30s for Bethel, mid-30s Pribilofs, upper 30s near 40 for the Aleutians, and in the lower 40s for the Bristol Bay area. Highs for tomorrow afternoon, mid-60s for the Copper River Basin, lower 70s to Sitna Valley, otherwise 60s for the Kenai Peninsula, Anchorage, Palmer area, trying to push 50 there for 60 for Kodiak Island, 50s for Bristol Bay, in the 50s. There for the southeast coast, and up into the north, 65 to 73, call it, warmest central Tanana Valley to the Yukon Flats, and then 30s, upper 30s for the Arctic coast, mid to upper 30s for the northern Bering Sea, Seward Peninsula area, near 60 McGrath and Nikolai, 40s along the southwest coast, upper 40s for the Pribilofs, near 50 central Aleutians, upper 40s Alaska Peninsula, and for the lows, Sunday morning, mid to upper 40s to near 50 for the mostly mid 40s for the Copper River Basin, near 50 for south central Alaska, Palmer, Kenai, and mid 40s for Kenai, Anchorage near 50, and for Kodiak Island, mid 40s. Up in the interior, 40s to lower 50s, warmest there around Fairbanks, and then back into the upper 30s, lower 40s there for Eagle down toward Northway. Lower to mid 30s for the Seward Peninsula, St. Lawrence Island, upper 20s for the eastern Arctic coast, otherwise lower 30s there for the North Slope western coast, near 40 for the Bering Sea, lower 40s for the Aleutians, Bristol Bay in the lower 40s, and now for the highs Sunday afternoon, Near 70, Copper River Basin, maybe some lower 70s for the Susitna Valley. Kenai Peninsula, East Anchorage could push up towards 70, otherwise in the 60s. Near 60, Kodiak Island, still in the 50s for the Panhandle and Bristol Bay. And the interior, upper 60s to mid 70s possibly, and upper 30s to mid 40s for the Arctic coast, mid 30s for the St. Lawrence Island area, and mid 40s for the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta coastal areas. Pribilofs to the upper 40s, lower 50s for central Aleutians.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Looking at our first line weather graphic Saturday morning, IFR for the Arctic coast, North Slope area, into the Brooks Range, otherwise south of the mountains though, VFR, all along the Yukon River Valley, Tanana Valley, 40-mile country, all VFR. Kobuk Valley, Selawik, Kotzebue, up into the Noatak Valley. Marginal VFR there from the northwest coast, western Arctic coast, through the Bering Strait. IFR, though, for the southern Seward Peninsula, St. Lawrence Island, central Bering Sea, but ADAC, VFR, marginal VFR, southeast Bering into Bristol Bay, the Aleutian Range, right up into Cook Inlet, western Cook Inlet, the western Alaska Range, Kuskokwim Valley, to about the Kuskokwim Mountains there, and some marginal VFR, Talkeetnas and the Wrangell Mountains, some IFR for the North Gulf Coast area, and southern Panhandle, IFR, and for the afternoon, looking not too bad, improves over the southeast coast. Some VFR breaking out, but still some lingering marginal VFR. Marginal for the North Gulf Coast, southern Prince William Sound, Montague Island, and possible marginal VFR lingering over the western Alaska Range. Otherwise, Yukon Delta, part of the Kuskokwim Delta, marginal VFR with IFR along the Yukon Delta coast. A good portion of the central and eastern Bering Sea, Pribilofs of the Fox Islands. That VFR zone now shifts over to Atka, and IFR for the Arctic coast and North Slope. And for the Sunday morning outlook, no change up there in the north. IFR for the most part for the North Slope and Arctic coast. And Seward Peninsula, IFR, just about all of the Bering Sea, right down to just north of the Aleutians there, although making landfall there on the north shore of Unalaska Island and the Alaska Peninsula, Bristol Bay IFR, inland over the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, most of Norton Sound, southwestern Seward Peninsula, and kind of marginal to VFR conditions for the Aleutians, and some IFR there for the Gulf of Alaska up to Cape St. Elias, but staying out of Prince William Sound, marginal VFR for the Sound, and along the Talkeetnas, maybe the central western Alaska Range marginal. Panhandle, marginal VFR. And for the afternoon, no change there. Southeast coast, marginal VFR, IFR for Yakutat, maybe Cape St. Elias, possibly Montague Island, marginal for Prince William Sound. Good VFR, central, eastern, interior. North Slope, marginal VFR with some IFR right along the western Arctic coast. And Bering Sea, big batch of IFR out there, but looks like a hole opens up right over St. Paul, St. George Island for VFR in the afternoon. VFR also for ADAC and ATCA. Otherwise, it's either marginal or IFR out there. And for the passes, Anatuvik, marginal VFR to start, trending toward VFR conditions in the afternoon, optimistically. Same trend for Adigan. Pretty good chance of seeing some VFR tomorrow at some point in the day, especially later in the day. And for Lake Clark and Merrill, occasionally marginal. Marginal VFR, I think it'll trend toward VFR in the afternoon, but still a chance of marginal off and on throughout the day. Best chance in the morning. Same pattern for rainy. And for windy, though, VFR. I'm going to go VFR for windy. Isabel and Mentasta, eastern Alaska Range, should be a VFR kind of day for Saturday. And Tanita also looking pretty good. VFR flying, either approach, portage. VFR, either approach the entire day Saturday. And Chilkoot and White looks pretty marginal. And for the freezing levels, kind of a cold pool there with upper trough, that quasi-stationary upper low out there, 2,000 feet there along all of the west coast, eastern Bering Sea. At the surface tomorrow morning down to St. Lawrence Island, 6,000 feet central and eastern interior, and up to 8,000 over the far western Aleutians. Icing, could be some areas of considerable moderate mixed icing there, maybe for the western Seward Peninsula with that upper level low and St. Lawrence Island. Otherwise, Brooks Range scattered, isolated, probably mostly light mixed icing, and just a threat of some icing of the mixed variety South Central Alaska Range there, eastern interior on down across the Panhandle. And the jet stream, upper level low Seward Peninsula. Otherwise, weak trough over the Panhandle into the Yukon there, and weak ridging over the central eastern interior. So northwesterlies 55 to 70 knots, northern Bering Sea, northerly 65 to 70 across central Aleutians. And at 9,000 feet, northwest 65 knots there, coming in toward the Yukon Delta coast, northwest flow over the Bering Sea. And 3,000 feet, 20 to 40 knot west-northwesterlies across the Bering along the Alaska Peninsula and Kodiak Island. That translates into occasional moderate chop there, Fognak Island, Kamishak Bay, there in the Kamishak Gap area, and also for the Alaska Peninsula, light to isolated moderate chop, western Seward Peninsula, St. Lawrence Island, St. Matthew Island. After the break, I'll be back with a look at the marine forecast.
Welcome back to another edition of Alaska Weather Facts. I'm Dave Snyder, and joining me again is Cindy Preller. She's the Tsunami Program Manager for Alaska Region's National Weather Service. Thanks again for joining us, Cindy.
Thanks for having me back, Dave.
Sure thing. And I love saying Tsunami Program Manager for Alaska's National Weather Service because that's not weather. Why is the Tsunami Program part of the National Weather Service?
Well, it's because the Weather Service absolutely rocks at warning people for every kind of, devastating natural hazard.
The mission of the Weather Service is to protect life and property. And so how does the Tsunami Warning Center in Palmer, Alaska, which is a very unique office, again, within the Weather Service, it's not weather, how do those folks help us protect life and property?
The National Tsunami Warning Center in Palmer is a national warning center, and we analyze seismic traces 24/7 all around the world. So when there's an earthquake anywhere on the planet, we see it and analyze it within minutes.
Within minutes, and
Within
there's
minutes.
actually a goal to have it under, was it 5 minutes?
If there is a tsunami warning to be issued for continental America, yeah, we must get that out, or shoot to get that out in 5 minutes.
Okay. Now that's not something I have ever learned to do, so I know it would be a struggle for me to do that under probably hours. But it is fascinating to watch, and the office is open on a regular basis for tours, right?
Absolutely. Come by Friday.
Okay.
Yep, every Friday at 1, 2, and 3 p.m. They're open public free tours. And it's the most interesting place on the planet. You really should check it out.
Okay, and the office team is made up of people that are earth scientists, not meteorologists or atmospheric scientists. Talk about some of the types of people that work there.
Right, we are out of place in our National Weather Service, but we are geologists, geophysicists, oceanographers. We even have an astrophysicist on board, computer software architects, electronic technicians that are brilliant and innovative. Our software is all written in-house. Our instrumentation is designed in-house. So it's a really, really unique place, and it's just a couple handfuls of people that work there. So
sure.
Yeah.
One of my favorite ways to get a tsunami alert message is on Twitter.
Right.
And I can follow the Twitter address, and we'll put that up on the screen for you there. But it's usually a very quick message that tells you initially what the magnitude of an earthquake could be and about where its epicenter was. What are some of the other ways that you can get that alert message?
Well, Twitter's my favorite too.
Yeah.
And you don't even need a Twitter account to receive
Right.
it. So it just comes in like an SMS message. But
Mm-hmm.
you can also receive it via email, weather radio, of course, the crawler on your television screen, on the internet, Google Alerts,
Right.
marine radio if you're out in harbors and boats. Actually, marine radio is probably,
Yeah, it is a good one.
that's our partnership with the Coast Guard. We're really grateful for that, absolutely. But there's a variety of ways in dissemination.
Okay.
And locally, excuse me, I'm sorry, but
Sure.
locally in the communities, the sirens will go off as
Right.
well.
Right. So lots of different ways to get that very important message very quickly when that matters to you. One of the ways that the Warning Center practices with communities is a test on a yearly basis, right?
Right.
How does that work?
Thanks for bringing that up. It's a controversial issue, but it's super important to help us warn better and really serve Alaskans. So the week of March 27th, the commemoration of the 1964 event, for that week we have a Tsunami Preparedness Week every year. We like communities to get out and do drills and practice and do everything we can to raise awareness. And part of that is a live code test where we actually issue the warning message live and we activate the emergency alert system, which means sirens go off, the TV crawler happens, and it's a test.
We're
And
doing everything that would normally happen without the real threat of the tsunami, just to
Right.
practice as much as possible.
Right, and this is a major partnership with the State of Alaska,
Mm-hmm.
Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, the Emergency Operations Center,
Right.
and the Alaska Broadcasters Association. Without the media, we wouldn't be able to do this. So the three groups really work tightly together to do our best to warn, educate the public that this is happening, so they don't wonder and get scared about it. It has been remarkable what we've learned. I mean, it pretty much breaks somewhere every time,
Sure.
but then we fix it, and it gets better. So a quick example is just a few years ago, we used to, when we issued a message, it would activate the entire state.
Right.
Right? I mean, Kotzebue, Nome, Bethel, everybody would be in tsunami warning. And so now we can regionalize it to where the actual event is taking place.
Right.
That's pretty huge.
Right, right. So identifying points of failure and also points of success, and making sure we continue down that successful path so that folks are warned as quickly and accurately as possible.
Absolutely. And, you know, to get our communities involved to prep themselves, prep their businesses, prep their tourism, prep their schools, you know, just make this an annual thing they need to be doing.
Right. So as citizens wanting to be prepared, we should be prepared to learn more about that test that's happening usually toward the end of March every year.
Right, and you should be happy that it's happening.
Right.
Instead of upset. Definitely be happy that it's happening.
Right. Just as we test tornado sirens in tornado country, we also have to test the tsunami program as well.
Right, because there isn't enough time. You know, for a local tsunami, the wave will arrive in less than 2 minutes. So it's super important that people know what to do.
Very good. Well, Cindy, thank you so much for helping us know more about the Tsunami Ready program and the test. And the Tsunami Warning Center is a very unique and very important job in the National Weather Service that is just fascinating to me every time I visit the office. So,
It's the only one for the continent. You really should come check it out.
it's an international effort.
Yes.
Wonderful stuff. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Dave.
And thanks for joining us for another edition of Alaska Weather Facts. I'm Dave Snyder. We'll see you next time.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Today's sea ice analysis. Really losing the ice there through the Bering Strait. Still a little bit of heavier ice on the north shore of St. Lawrence Island, and still some ice western Norton Sound and Kotzebue Sound, north side of the Seward Peninsula, seeing some heavier ice. Otherwise, continuing to thin out there west of Cape Lisburne, Point Hope, all the way up to a narrow area up toward Point Barrow. And for the coastal water forecasts, looking at the outlook for, or the forecast for tomorrow, Saturday, northwest 20 knots there on the south coast, 12-foot seas, so small craft advisories all along the coastline, the outer coastline. Otherwise, central coast, west 15, north coast, pretty light out of the west at 10 knots. Stevens Passage, or Clarence Strait, south 15 knots, seas 8 feet, so small craft advisories for Clarence Strait due to the rough seas. And south 10 knots, 2-foot seas for Stevens Passage. Lynn Canal, southeast of 15. And then for Sunday, really light winds on the north coast there. Out of the west, 5 knots, seas 5 feet. West-southwest 10 knots, barely a breeze there on the south coast, seas 6 to 7 feet. Northwest at 10 for the Clarence Strait area, seas down to 3 feet now. And south winds 10 knots, Stevens Passage. South 15 for Lynn Canal. And moving on to Prince William Sound, a little variable to west breeze at 10 knots, light seas. West or eastern North Gulf Coast in that 10 knot wind zone there. Southwest at 10, 7-foot seas. And then small craft advisories for the western North Gulf Coast and Kamishak Bay, westerlies 25 knots. And the Barren Islands, west 30 knots with 7-foot seas. Otherwise, Cook Inlet looking at southwesterlies at 15. And then for Sunday, Cook Inlet south at 15 knots, 3 to 4-foot seas. And good stiff west wind, small craft advisories for Kamishak Bay and the Barren Islands, out of the west at 30 knots with 8 to 10-foot seas. Western North Gulf Coast, winds west at 20. And around Middleton Island, southerlies at 10 knots. Prince William Sound, variable to west at 10 knots with seas still 2 feet or less. And then for Kodiak Island tomorrow, small craft advisories, west winds 25 to 30 knots with 7-foot seas, and small craft advisories from Sitkinak to Castle Cape for west winds at 25 knots. Also, Bristol Bay, west winds 25 knots with 5-foot seas. Otherwise, the Alaska Peninsula looking at west-northwest winds at 20 knots, seas up to 7 feet. And then for Sunday, small craft advisories for the Alaska Peninsula. West winds 25 knots with 7 to 9 foot seas. Pretty uniform wind pattern there across that entire zone, all out of the west. Bristol Bay, small craft advisories, west 25 knots. Same thing for the area from Sitkinak to Castle Cape and Shelikof Strait, west 25 knots. Strongest winds east side of Kodiak Island, where there'll be 30 knots out of the west with seas at around 7 feet. And then for Unalaska Island, small craft advisories, west 25, Unmak Island, west 20 to 25 knots, west southwest of 20 knots for Adak and Atka. Amchitka Island, west winds 20 knots, and Kiska, Shimei, and Attu, westerlies at 15. And then for Sunday, for Shimei and Attu, winds maybe for Kiska, south 20, 8-foot seas, otherwise pretty light for Amchitka Island out of the west, Adak and Atka, southwest of 15. Fox Islands, westerlies, 15 to 25 knots with seas running 5 to 9 feet. And then for the southwest coast, actually Yukon Delta coast, St. Lawrence Island, St. Matthew Island, all southwest 25 knots, 4 to 5 foot seas. Kuskokwim Delta coast, west 20, Pribilof Islands, west of 20. And for the outlook for Sunday, Norton Sound, small craft advisories, south winds 25 knots with 5 foot seas, otherwise St. Lawrence Island, having lighter winds in Norton Sound, northwest of 20, seas 4 feet. Northern Bering Sea, right into the southwest coast, good 30-knot west wind with 9 to 12-foot seas. Pribilof Island, small craft advisories continues, west winds at 25 knots with 10-foot seas. And then for the Arctic coast, pretty uniform wind-wise, both at direction and speed for the entire stretch of the coastline, east at 10 knots. And from Cape Beaufort to Cape Thompson, southeast at 10, Cape Thompson to Wales, southeast 15 knots, 2 to 3 foot seas in those areas. And then for Sunday, make it northeast from Cape Beaufort to to Wales, northeast 20 knots, 4 foot seas, and east 15 knots, western central coast, winds up to 20 knots there for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast. And for tonight, scattered showers around the interior with clearing, a little more widespread over the Panhandle. Not much going on out over the Bering Sea, but another front will increase the chance of rain in the western areas tomorrow, and that lingers with that upper level low persisting for showers or rain, Seward Peninsula, Yukon Delta, southeast interior showers.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.